All right, welcome back, everybody, to a brand new video here on the second channel. We're going for week 3 now of the Surging Sparks online tournament meta, as we're going to see what's going on post-Sacramento Regionals. We're going to see what the post-Sacramento Regionals looks like here in the online tournaments, what decks are picking up steam right now after the Sacramento Regional results, and we're just going to look at the online meta and to see what decks are winning. Stuttgart is this weekend in, like, literally 2 days, so with another major tournament coming up in just a few short days, I think it's important to still look at the online tournament meta and see what else is doing good here in these tournaments, because maybe some of these results might have an impact as to what you yourself might want to play to Stuttgart if you are going. And as always, I'll leave a link to play.limos down below if you want to go enter an online tournament for yourself. And if you're new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 19,000 subscribers. And if you're going to enjoy the video, leave a like and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. So we got the first one is the free entry Deck Out Monday tournament here, which was won by Dragapult. Now, I think the one thing we'll notice after the results of Sacramento is you might see a bit of an uptick in decks that theoretically have a good Miraidon matchup. And Dragapult, you know, it's a decent deck right now. It still kind of just does Dragapult things with its spread damage. It's nothing really crazy. Like, overall, it's a slower deck than Regidrago. It's not as strong as Regidrago, but it does have a lot of good things going for it. Dragapult is still very tanky. You still can, you know, take multi-prize turns. You have a built-in Draw Gem, a Dracloak. It's just not as strong as Drago, but was able to win the tournament. In fact, this build is playing Xatu in the deck. Still has Unfair Stamp too as an ace spec, so not playing Sparkling Crystal, going for Unfair Stamp. Has Xatu for that little bit of extra energy acceleration. It was able to win the tournament over the Ancient Box deck, it looks like here, which is a pretty bad matchup for Ancient Box. Dragapult is just a very strong and bulky card. It's kind of like playing against Charizard or Hydreigon, where it's like Ancient Box just kind of struggles to keep up. There is a Roaring Moon EX in the deck and a Gravity Mountain to help a little bit more. We do see the new Koraidon. I do think Ancient Box is going to get maybe a little bit popular going forward, because Ancient Box actually has a pretty good matchup spread right now versus most of the big decks. The one deck that I think it's going to struggle with is going to be those big Stage 2 decks like Dragapult and Charizard. And Charizard might see a little bit more play too going forward, but Ancient Box is a very powerful archetype that can really feed off of the meta right now. It's pretty good into Miraidon. It's pretty good into Goldengo, good into Drago, I think. It's not a bad deck at all, and it was able to get second place here in the tournament. There's a Cloth in top 4, the Cloth Terapagos deck. This deck did see some play and did well in Sacramento, so this deck could be legit. I think Cloth is going to see a little bit more play now going forward. I mean, we always kind of clown on Cloth as like a meme, but I actually think Cloth might be decently legit now. I mean, it's boasting a good Miraidon matchup, which is really good. I mean, if you're taking a good matchup to a deck that just took down a massive regional, it's definitely not a bad place. So I think we're going to see more Cloth. We already see a Cloth here in top 4. It might be the same 60 from Sacramento. That Cloth Tropicos deck using the Oranguru, and it's got the Latias, the double Petron in there, the Tropicos, stuff like that. So that might see more play. We see a Guardian top 4 here. It is the, actually, it's an interesting build. It's a Brilliant Blender Gardevoir deck, which is interesting. You can Brilliant Blender to get rid of a ton of energy really quickly. You can use Blender with Night Stretcher to find a Pokemon really easily. There's actually a lot of really cool things you can do with Brilliant Blender. It's a very interesting ace spec to see in Gardevoir. A bit more of like the slower version, no research. Obviously, the Secret Box not even in the deck. Does have one candy, though. Does play the Klefki and the Fluttermane. Which doesn't seem bad right now if Lost Box continues to see a little bit of play. We got a Miraidon in top 8. Not surprised to see that. This Miraidon does have an Iono in the deck and a 3 boss, so it's not the same 60 that won Sacramento, but, you know, it does still have most of the Miraidon things going on in the deck. It does play the Secret Box, got a Super Rod in there, and double Bravery Charm, too, for the tools. And we got another Ancient Box in top 8. Again, I'm not surprised to see this. I think Ancient Box is going to see a little bit more play now. We got 2 of them in top 8. This one does play the Koraidons, a little bit as a higher quantity. No Fez, no Pekra, no Roaring Moon EX in the deck, just opting for an all single price approach. Does play Awakening Drum also as the ace spec over Secret Box, which is also kind of interesting. But yeah, I think Ancient Box is going to be a little bit better going forward if we're going to see more big basics, Goldengo, stuff like that. Ancient Box really does have a good matchup versus them. I'm not surprised to see the Koraidon pick up the play. Snorlax in top 8. Snorlax does good in online tournaments. This one does not play the Rotom, so it's the Rotom-less Snorlax deck. Does play the Miracle Headset as the ace spec, which I thought this card was bad, but I guess not. I guess Snorlax is going to start playing Miracle Headset now. That's kind of wild. And then in the top 8, we got a Lost Box deck. So Lost Box did underperform in Sacramento, but I think people are still going to play it regardless, because Lost Box is still a very powerful archetype that I actually think does have a good Miraidon matchup overall. We do see the build here does play the 1 Pikachu, the Hands, the Blood Moon, pretty much all you need. Does have the Iron Bundle in the deck. Got a Canceling Clone in there. It could be good in Mirror. You can also use Clone with Greninja. as an option. If you go like Cologne, Prime Catcher with Manaphy in play, that could be a pretty decent option. So, yeah, Lost Box still seems good. Obviously, it's going to be bad into like Drago, and Ancient Box is going to be a little difficult too, but still a decent deck. All right, next up we got the Sunny's Weekly, which was won by Cloth. I think Cloth stonks are starting to go up a little bit now after Sacramento Regionals. I think a lot more people are going to be playing Cloth. So if you're somebody who's playing along the ladder and you experience a lot of Cloth for some reason, I think the reason is because everyone wants to play the deck now. This one does not play the Terapagos. It is the more normal version of the deck, the classic version, I guess you call it. Just playing the Petrunts, the Blood Moons in there, the Electrode, no Terapagos or anything. But was able to beat Charizard in the finals. This matchup is definitely close. You do have Electrode. I think a lot of the matchup really is like Donkey with Peck-Run, just being really aggressive, having Cloth to KO like Fez, Rotom, Luminion is really good too. But yeah, Charizard is still pretty good. Again, this is another deck that I would not be surprised, if it saw more play, just because after Sacramento, Charizard looks a little bit better, as it does seem to have a decent Miraidon matchup if you can set up a good board. Like if you just put like 2 Zards and play against Miraidon, like what are they going to do? We have another Zard in top 4. Actually, 3 of the top 4 decks were Charizard. This one was the Terapagos Noctowl Charizard deck. So this deck is also very powerful. Because you don't rely on Rotom and stuff and Luminion to set up. You're relying on Noctowl, which is a little bit more reliable. It's on a 2-prize engine. It's a bit harder to beat this deck because Charizard is obviously really difficult to deal with. The only real liability is Terapagos, but Terapagos is a better liability to have in play than Rotom half the time. Then you got the 1-1 Pidgeot. This deck is very powerful. And it's a very scary deck because it's got so many options, and it has a lot of pop-off. I mean, this deck can like do so much on the second turn of the game because Noctowl is just so unbelievably strong. Then we have another Zard in top 4 here. This one also was playing on Fair Stand, pretty similar to the one that we saw in second place. But yeah, a lot of the top 8 being Charizard. Not surprised to see that considering how good Charizard looks now going forward. There was an Ancient Box in top 8. Again, a lot of Ancient Box stocks going up. This one also playing the new Koraidon. Does play Kieran in the deck, which is an interesting inclusion. Does have Secret Box, obviously, as a spec. So yeah, a lot more Ancient Box. So Ancient Box and Cloth seen a bit more play. There's a Sarah Ledge here in top 8. So yeah, one thing I guess I forgot to mention in the Day 2 Sacramento video I posted, there was no Sarah Ledge in Day 2, which honestly kind of shocked me. Like, over 300 players in Day 2. There was United Wings in Day 2. There was Lugia, Greninja in Day 2. But there was no Sarah Ledge. So that's kind of shocking. I was very shocked to actually find out, yeah, there was no Sarah Ledge in Day 2. I think the deck is actually still kind of decent. It's a very powerful beat stick deck. But does it just have the same issues that, like, Raging Bolt has? Or is it just a worse Raging Bolt and worse Miraidon? Is it, like, just not worth playing? I don't know. But we do see this build does play the Palkia, the Brilliant Blender in there. Also, the Canceling Clone. I like Sarah Ledge. I think it's still a good deck. We'll have to see if it gets Day 2 at Stuttgart. I mean, surely it's going to get Day 2 eventually. Like, the fact that it didn't get Day 2 in Sacramento is just wild to me. Then we have another Ancient Box in top 8. Ancient Box really taking over the online tournament scene here. No Koraidon in this build. Just play Walking Wake instead. Also got the One of Great Tusk in there, too. And plays Petch and Fez. And then we got a Drago in top 8. I mean, Drago doesn't really seem to be as popular in the online tournament scene. I'm not sure why that is. But, you know, Drago, just obviously it's more of a regional deck. Drago's still going to probably be heavy played in Stuttgart this weekend. But in the online tournament, it doesn't see as much play, even though it's still one of the best decks you can play right now. All right, we got the Pumpkin Amy tournament next, which was surprisingly won by Shenpao, which we did see get top 16 in Sacramento. One thing I like about Shenpao is that it still just kind of is under the radar. It does have that sneaky good plays with Iron Hands and Greninja. Like, it's got a lot of options of what it can do. The only issue is it seems to suffer against those big spread decks like the Drago. I will say, if you're going to play Shenpao, you can experiment with maybe trying to play Greninja EX in the deck. I think it's worth trying out Greninja right now because it really does help against your awkward matchups like Terapagos or, you know, Miraidon obviously being a big one. But yeah, this Shenpao is kind of the old classic build. Does play a lot of supporters, though, within the deck here. Was able to win the tournament, beat Iron Thorns in the finals. I'm a little shocked to see that, considering Iron Thorns completely shuts off Shenpao's ability, which I guess, like, it doesn't matter that much when you have Bibarel. So you can set up Bibarel quick enough and they don't gust it. You can just, like, draw a bunch of cards and easily just spam knockouts. You just need 4 energy. So once you find 4 energy, you can just retrieval and stuff. This Thorns also does not play Devo, which might have been a bit of a help, too. It's interesting that Shenpao was able to beat Thorns in the finals. I would imagine that matchup is a little bit more favored for Thorns, but it happened. Got a Drago in top 4 here. Placealo and Executor, got the Dragapult in there, the usual stuff we see. And then we have a couple of Hydreigans in top 8. So Hydreigon was able to make Day 2 at Sacramento. And, you know, it was doing really good in the online tournament scene the weekly in Sacramento. It won, like, 3 tournaments in a row. or something like that. Like, it was winning tournaments, and I think Hydreigon is just still kind of good. I will say this, if Hydreigon can set up Obsidian versus Miraidon, it does seem pretty good. So that is one thing to consider when playing Hydreigon, is maybe you're going to take a decent Miraidon matchup, because you can also, like, hit them with Crushing Headbutt, which can be pretty annoying. You can, like, one-shot their Raikus and stuff, and you have Obsidian as an option in that matchup, but they can't one-shot Hydreigon in time. You can just Obsidian twice and win the game. We got another Hydreigon top 8. This one might be a bit different than the last list. Yeah, this one does have the control elements in the deck. Got the Sisters, the Eerie, the Roseanne. Does also play the Binding Mochi in there, which I do like. I haven't really experimented with Binding Mochi and Hydreigon yet. With Petron, it's not a bad idea because you can do 240, really good against Raging Bolt. And then you do have the Vitality Band in the deck, so you can do 210 with Hydreigon, which can be pretty useful against Fezandipity to knock it out. Because, like, knockout Fez plus mill 3 is kind of crazy. We have a couple of Raging Bolts here in top 8. This one does play Latias. Does have a Canceling Clone in the deck, Sandy Shocks, no Slitherwing. And then we got another Raging Bull in top 8. Plain Slitherwing and Cornerstone Ogerpon to be even more annoying. Also does play the one of Penny and Miracle Headset as the A-Spec. And, okay, hold up. There's even more going on. There's Arven in the deck, too. There's also double Crispin. I guess if you're playing Cornerstone Ogerpon, it makes sense to play Crispin because you can Crispin to build up the Ogerpon. So I guess that does kind of make sense to actually play that. And we got a Miraidon top 8. Once again, not the same 60 we saw Landon play, but, you know, still doing the Miraidon stuff. Just have the double Raikou in there. Just not playing like Quad Boss, Quad Arven, but another Miraidon making top 8. All right, we got the Grays Poke League tournament here, which was won by Snorlax. Snorlax, once again, does really good in the online tournaments because I feel like the casual online tournament player may not be as accustomed to playing against Snorlax. This one, however, does have Rotom, and once again, playing Miracle Headset. That's 2 Snorlax decks now playing this Miracle Headset A-Spec, which, honestly, I think I called it the worst A-Spec in Surging Sparks. I don't think it is. We got another Cloth Terapagos here in the finals. Yeah, this deck is really starting to take over a little bit. This deck is definitely getting some steam after Sacramento. It's doing pretty good in these online tournaments. We see another one here in the finals. Lost to Snorlax. Yeah, pretty bad matchup. You have double switch card, and that's about it. You do have Petron, I guess. Could you ever go Petron with, like, Baby Peck, maybe? I don't know. I guess you could Petron Fezandipity, right? But then you're only doing 60 damage. That's definitely a close matchup, I think. That's interesting that it lost. All right, we got another Shampoo in top 4. This one, okay, this one does have Greninja. I like the Greninja idea. It does play Palkia, too. Does have a lot going on in the deck. Got Palkia, Greninja, double Shampoo. Plays a Ditto in the deck, too. Yeah, I like it. Shampoo doesn't seem terrible. I don't know if it'll ever be as good as it ever used to be because it just feels like the meta's too aggressive towards it. But having Greninja might, you know, make the deck a little bit more stronger because you do have that bit of protection. We got another Zard in top 8 here. This one is playing the Precious Trolley. It also plays Gravity Mountain, which can be pretty funny in the mirror match, I guess, which is kind of cool. So yeah, interesting Zard list here with the Trolley and stuff. Again, Zard stonks are going up. We got another Drago in top 8. This one's got the Executor. Plays the Fez, does play the Guja. Yeah, I got the Guja, the eggs, the one on Pokestop. Pretty similar probably to what Grand Champ played. You got another Snorlax, but this one does play the Enriching Energy Pidgeot engine. So the idea of this is you attach Enriching Energy to Pidgeot so you can cycle it every time, then draw 4 cards. So it kind of gives you like a pseudo-draw engine, right? Because we see a Rotom-less build here. So when you don't have Rotom, you can rely a little bit more on the Enriching Energy combos to like draw you cards. You can also like Enriching Energy Penny. You can attach Enriching Energy to Snorlax, draw 4 cards, Penny it. So it kind of makes up for not having a Snorlax in play, or Rotom in play. We got another Cloth Terapagos in top 8. Yeah, everyone's loving this deck right now. Yo, Cloth is looking pretty good going forward. What the heck? And then finally round things out. Another Charizard. It's a Secret Box Charizard deck, so we saw at LEIC there. It's got the research in there and stuff. Yeah, cool. All right, so that was the Grays Pokemon League tournament. We can move on to the Tournament of Doom, which the deck that won happened to be Raging Bolt. It was more classic Raging Bolt list. I guess not. There was an Iono, and there was a Crispin in the deck, and a Canceling Clone. So a little bit more of a teched out Raging Bolt list. It's a classic Bolt. No, it was more teched out. We had a lot more going on. Only 3 Raging Bolt 2 as opposed to 4. Which is also very interesting to see. But I was able to win the tournament. It did end up beating a Ancient Box in the finals, which is kind of surprising to see. I guess like you can lose if you start a 2-prizer. Ancient Box should be favored against Raging Bolt. I mean, you get donked. Anything can happen in best of 1. It's another Ancient Box deck with Koraidon. So we're looking at a lot of Ancient Box here in today's video, as Ancient Box is looking a lot stronger now going forward. We got a Gouging Fire in top 4. Another like very sleeper deck right now. You know, compared to Bolt and Miraidon, and even like Moon to a degree. A lot of people really do sleep on Gouging Fire. I don't know how good Gouging Fire is into Miraidon. Probably another 50-50 matchup, but this one does have catchers in here. It's got the judge. I think it's actually pretty similar to what we saw at Sacramento. But yeah, Gouging Fire is pretty strong. Kind of, again, just a sleeper deck right now in the meta. We got another Cloth in top 4. Holy moly. Yeah, Cloth, the takeover is real. The Cloth takeover is real. That's crazy. This one's got the Curum in there, which is pretty funny. Try to, like, randomly cheese a win against Lost Box. Kind of more harder to pull that off, though, in online tournaments when they can see your deck list, no? Another Drago here. Got Guja. Got an Executor, place a Jamming, and the Temple of Sinnoh. We got another Moon deck. This time it is Turbo Roaring Moon with Water Energy. So try to incorporate Greninjas and Attacker a little bit more, which I don't hate. I mean, you can still pull that off. You can do some pretty crazy plays with Greninja. It's got the Darkrai in there, too, to get you back, like, your items and stuff. Yeah, cool stuff, cool stuff. We got another Regidrago here. Yep, cool. Doesn't play the eggs. Does have the Gudra, though. Also plays the Noctowl. And then, let's see, we got another Snorlax in top 8 here. This one, also playing Rotom, and Miracle Headset. All right, Miracle Headset. Optimally spec-ing Snorlax right now? It might be, because a lot of them are playing it. I mean, just being able to get 2 spores back is kind of strong. I really underestimated how good it is. I kind of take it back, saying it was one of the worst ice specs in the set. Nah, it ain't. So that's the Tournament of Doom. And then finally, we got the Late Night. This one was a 300-plus player tournament, so this one was pretty big. And it was won by Control. Now, Control does do pretty good in online tournaments, right? Because less people are experienced against it. It's also pretty good in the open deck list tournament. We actually get to see how many resources they have in their deck. And it was able to win. When we see the more like classic approach here that we've been seeing. Got the Black Hero. Does play the Cloth in the deck. The Cloth's pretty funny as a way to remove energy. Does play the Hero's Cape also as the ace spec of choice. Yeah, Control. Pretty good stuff. Got the Curum and everything. And then was able to beat a Cloth in the finals. I think this matchup is definitely interesting. I'm not sure how it really goes. I mean, I guess you only play 2 switch card, right? So, like, I guess maybe you get, like, Wellspring Ogre Pawn locked or anything can go wrong, I guess. But Cloth is very aggressive, right? Cloth's, aggressive nature can be a little bit stronger into the Control deck. But I guess, like, you do have some tank potential. I don't know. It's an interesting matchup. I guess you can also use your Cloth EX against this deck, and that can be pretty annoying. Because if you can't one-shot the Cloth, which is ironic, because like Cloth EX beats the normal Cloth. That's pretty funny. I don't know. That's an interesting match. But yeah, a lot of Cloth. Cloth just did good in like every single tournament we looked at, which is kind of wild. The Cloth takeover is real, folks. It's happening. We got another Rotom with Snorlax playing the Enriching Energy as a draw engine. Just play Regieleki. Also plays a Devo, which is interesting. So kind of an interesting Snorlax list there. A lot of cool stuff. And then we got a Charizard in the top 4 here. Yeah, pretty standard list here. Just play the Unfair Stamp as the A-Spec and stuff. Then we have, it looks like a wall deck here. Oh my god. It was just Mimikyu and Ogre Paw. Nothing else. No Diancie, no Cram, no Milotic, no Thorns, no Noivern. Just four Ogre Pawns, 4 Mimikyus. That's the deck. And you just say, good luck to your opponent. Can you get over the hurdle? Interesting stuff. Was able to do good in this giant late night tournament. So, I mean, clearly the deck did something right. That's crazy. We got another Zard here in top 8. Okay, this one does have a little bit more going on. We see a Fluttermane in the deck, and we also see an Entei V going in the deck alongside no Dusclops. So, interesting not playing Dusclops in the deck here, but it's an interesting Zard. Also playing Counter Gain, too. The Fluttermane's an interesting attacker. Fluttermane can be annoying for some decks. Can also help against Lost Box, which Zard can tend to struggle against. Like, if basically Lost Box denies Charizard the ability to set up. So, although we've only seen 1 Lost Box deck in this video so far. And in top 8, there was also an Archaladon. So Archaladon is another deck that, it seems decent. It actually had some decent results in Sacramento. It had like a couple top 64s. This one was the Archaladon Dialga deck. And honestly, you know what? This could be a decent deck versus Miraidon too. Duraludon's 130 HP is pretty good against hands, so they can't DT knock you out. So they can't really take the first 2 prizes as easily against you. And if you can set up the Dialga V-Star against Miraidon, you should be able to easily cook them. As long as you can find Gust when they promote Pikachu after you Star Chronos their first 2 prizers. So as an anti-like Miraidon deck, it doesn't seem bad. Also, just being able to take advantage of Star Chronos seems pretty good to me. So yeah, Archaladon definitely doesn't seem like a bad deck right now. It is one of those decks I feel like we're just waiting for somebody to figure out a good 60 or just like a good player to play it and then just build it and then give it a good enough run where it can actually be a legit deck. The potential is there. My other issue, though, is that it doesn't do anything insane other than with Dialga. But I am, working on a cool Archaladon deck for YouTube videos soon. And then to round things out, in the top 8, there was another Snorlax, another Rotom-less Snorlax playing for a Kofu. It's got the Miracle Headset in there once again. So, yeah, Miracle Headset just being dominant. Outside the top 8, though, we did see a Lost Box deck here. Now, I wanted to highlight this. This is a wacky Lost Box deck. This was like a Lost Box Sylveon Kyurem Mawile deck. So it was kind of like a mini control deck in a way. Sylveon actually seems good in Lost Box. I haven't done a video on Sylveon yet. I don't want to play with Lost Box because it's like, I don't know, it kind of feels like a little cheap, but this deck is actually really cool. There's a lot you can do with it. One of the things with Mawile is a lot of the Miraidon decks are not playing Switch card, so you just Mawile their Latias or something and you just win the game. Because like Miraidon plays like no way to move out of the active spot. Also does have the Kyurem from the mirror, the Sylveon. Sylveon does require water, psychic, and light energy. It's like the perfect energy combination for Mirage Gate, because you're already playing the water, lightning, and psychic anyway, so you might as well squeeze the Sylveon in. You get access to Angel Light, which can be very annoying. I'm not sold on the deck yet. It seems a bit more like challenging, because Sylveon's also not a very good attacker. It only does 160 damage, which isn't great. It could be okay into Drago, because they do 100 less damage, but I'm not sold on Sylveon yet in Lost Box. This is a really interesting deck, and this was doing pretty good in the tournament. Unfortunately, did get 9th place, was not able to make top cut, or top 8 anyways, but it's a really cool deck I wanted to highlight here. And then below it, we got a couple more Cloth. So Cloth did really good, and that was kind of the highlight here of this third week of Surging Sparks post Sacramento results. A lot of Cloth, basically a lot of decks were playing fighting Pokemon. We saw the Koraidon, we saw the Cloth doing really good. I think it's just mainly because there's just more Miraidon now, and people also realize eventually how good Cloth actually is post Sacramento. That Tropicals Cloth deck was doing really good this week, so maybe that deck is actually legit. Since that deck has been getting a lot of good results, that deck actually might be pretty legit, and maybe it is something worth looking at in the future. Is considering Cloth for maybe Stuttgart. I don't know if these results will have that much of an impact on Stuttgart. We didn't see as much Drago, and obviously Drago is going to be popular in Stuttgart regionals. But I will say, a lot more Cloth, a lot more Charizard, a lot more Ancient Box. Those are like the 3 decks we saw pop up a lot more. We only really saw a couple Miraidon in the top 8. And the spiciest deck I think we saw was probably that Sylveon Lost Box pile deck that got 9th place. But we did see Archaladon in top 8. And that was, in a late night. It's a pretty big tournament, so it's a big deal for Archaladon to get top 8 in there. But yeah, those were the third week of Surging Sparks results. Definitely excited to see what happens post Stuttgart, or even see what happens in Stuttgart in the Surging Sparks meta. The meta is still evolving, and I'm excited to see how it all shapes up going forward. If y'all enjoyed today's video here on the second channel, leave a like. Once again, I'll leave a link to play.limos down below if you want to go play in an online tournament for yourself. There's like a new one every single day, so if you're interested in playing in them, definitely check it out down below. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. I think I already said that. Also, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 19,000 subscribers. I'll catch y'all later. Have a good day. Bye-bye.